All right, well, hello again, fifth graders. And today we're going to be working with estimating fractions, estimating sums, answers to addition problems, and differences, answers to subtraction problems with fractions. So this is leading us into regular addition and subtraction of fractions and mixed numbers. And so we're just kind of taking steps, and this is a first step here today. So you see this first set of directions that basically asks a question closer to 0, a half, or 1. Now when we estimate fractions, that's really what we're trying to figure out, whether or not the fraction is closer to 0, half, or 1. Now, as this video goes along, some of you are going to be able to start to envision what I'm doing without doing all the work that I'm going to be doing. And that's fine. That's really where I want you to be. But I'm going to be very methodical in this video, showing you how to set it up in case you need to set it up. And if you need to set it up, that's not a problem at all. So we're going to think about 3/8. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a number line. All of our number lines always start with 0 and they end with 1. So I have 3/8. So we're going to have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. And I don't need to put 8/8 because if I have 8/8, that's the same as 1. A fraction is just a division problem. 8 divided by 8 is 1. Anytime that the numerator and the denominator are the same number, it equals 1. So I can fill in the rest of my number line here. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8. So here's 0, here's 1. The fraction in question is 3/8, so I'm going to circle that one right there. And then the next thing I need to figure out, because remember what I'm trying to do, I'm determining whether it's closer to 0, a half, or 1. I know where 0 is, I know where 1 is, I need to figure out where 1/2 is. So I'm trying to think, well, what's 1/2? Well, I know what 1/2 is because whenever the number at the top is half of the number at the bottom, that's where 1/2 is. And I know that 4 is half of 8. So I know that this is 1/2, where 4/8 is. And plus, if I go to simplifying my fractions, which is what I did yesterday, I can see that 4/8 is equal to 1/2 because 4 divided by 4 is 1 and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I can see that 4/8 is closer to 1/2. When it talks about it being closer to 0, a half, or 1, it doesn't matter whether it's higher, lower, it just has to be the closest. 3/8 is closer to 4/8 than it is to 0. It's only one spot away, and it's 1, 2, 3 spots away from 0, and 1 is way up here. So 3/8 is definitely closer to 1/2. Let's go to this one, 3/4. Well, once again, the number line starts at 0 and it ends at 1. Then I have, since my denominator is 4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and I don't need to put 4/4 because remember, if I have 4/4, that's just 1. Just like 8/8 was 1. Doesn't matter what the digit is. If the numerator and the denominator are the same, it equals 1. So the fraction in question is 3/4. So I circle that one. That's kind of the fraction that I'm working with. And I need to figure out, well, where is half on the number line? Because I know where 0 is, I know where 1 is. And I know that 2 is half of 4 because 2 times 2 is 4. And sure enough, if I check my 2/4 to see if that's equal to 1/2, sure enough, 2 divided by 2 makes 1. 4 divided by 2 makes 2. So I know that 2/4 here is 1/2. Well, here's an interesting situation because the fraction in question is 3/4. and I'm 1 step away from 2/4, which is 1/2 if I go down. If I go up to the right, I'm only 1 step away from 1. Well, which is it closer to? Well, remember our rules of rounding. Whenever we are right in the middle, we always round up to the higher number. So in this case, I would say that 3/4 is closer to 1. All right, moving right along. The next one is 7/9. Well, same idea. Number line. Starts with 0, ends with 1. All right, and then I have 1/9, 2/9, 3/9, 4/9, 5/9, 6/9, 7/9, 8/9, and when I go to 9/9, it would equal 1. Because, once again, if 9 is the numerator and the denominator, 9 divided by 9 is 1. All right, so the fraction in question is 7/9. So I can circle that. That's the fraction that's in question. Now I need to determine where 1/2 is. Well, my number is 9, so I'm trying to figure out, well, what is half of 9? Well, when I do what half of 9 is, and see what half of 9 is dividing it by 2. So I can set that up as a fraction, 9 divided by 2. It's not an even number, so it's not like 8 that was easy, and thinking, well, half of 8 was 4, or with 4, where half of 4 was 2. 9 is an odd number, so I'm thinking, well, what's 9 divided by 2? Well, 2 can go into 9 4 times. If I take 2 into 9 4 times, there'll be 1 left over. My denominator is going to be 2, so it says 4.5. Well, 4.5 is bigger than 4, but less than 5. So that tells me that my half is actually right there. It's bigger than 4/9, but smaller than 5/9. So when I look at how far it is, I am 1 step, 2 steps, and then a half a step away from 1/2. So it's like 1, 2, 2.5, because if I take that third step, I'm all the way down to 4/9. So I'm 1, 2, 2.5 steps away from 1/2. And I'm 1, 2 steps away from 1. So I'm definitely 7/9 is definitely closer to 1. That's my final answer. All right, last one in this section before we actually start adding and subtracting. 1/6. Well, once again, number line. Starts with 0, ends with 1. All right, and we start filling it in. 1/6. 2/6. Notice I'm using 6 because my denominator here is 6. 3/6. 4/6. 5/6. The fraction in question is 1/6. I want to figure out where halfway is. Well, 6 is an even number, so I can think, well, what is 6 divided by 2, or what is half of 6? Well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And sure enough, if I take 3/6, I'm going to see that that's equal to 1/2, because 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this, 3/6, is where 1/2 is. Well, I can look at 1/6 and see, well, I'm 1 step away from 0, but I'm 1, 2 steps away from 1/2. I am definitely closer to 0. All right, so that just kind of gives you the introduction, how to figure out whether you're closer to 0, a half, or 1. All right, well, let's move into estimating the sum or difference. All right, well, it's the same sort of idea. Am I going to be closer to 0, half, or 1? So I'm thinking about 2/3. I'm going to go ahead and make my number line. 0, 1, 1, 2, 1/3, 2/3. I don't need to put 3/3 because I know that when the numbers, the numerator and the denominator are the same, like 3/3, it's 1. So the fraction in question is 2/3. And if I want to figure out what half of 3 is, where halfway would be, remember what I do. I divide by 2. Well, 2 can go into 3 one time. If I take 2 into 3 one time, there's 1 left over. My denominator here is 2, so my denominator there is 2, 1.5. It's between 1 and 2. It's right here. 1/2 is right there. And well, when I look at 2/3, it's a full step away from 1, but it's only a half a step, a smaller step, away from 1/2. So my 2/3 estimates to 1/2. Now, my 3/8, when I think about a number line, all right, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to clear some space here from my original board. So I apologize for the pause here, but I need to get some more space. So when I'm thinking about 3/8, which is my 2/3 plus 3/8, and once again 0, 1, and I'm going to think, okay, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, that's the fraction in question. 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 8/8 is 1. Well, 8 divided by 2 to figure out where half is 4. So that's halfway. 3/8 is definitely closest to a half because it's only 1 step away from a half. 1, 2, 3 steps away from 0. 4 is half of 8, and sure enough, 4/8 is equal to 1/2 because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So 3/8 also rounds to a half. This becomes 1/2 plus 1/2. And well, 1/2 plus 1/2, if I have a half of a cupcake plus a half of a cupcake, I have 1 whole cupcake. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. All right, well, 8/9. If I'm thinking about a number line, starts with 0, ends with 1. All right, and here we go. 1/9, 2/9, 3/9, 4/9, 5/9, 6/9, 7/9, 8/9. That's the fraction in question. Okay, where's halfway? Well, 9 divided by 2, that's my denominator. 2 goes into 9 4 times. If I take 2 into 9 4 times, there's 1 left over. My denominator's 2. I get 4.5. Between 4 and 5 is right there. That's going to be halfway. I can very clearly see that my 8/9 is closer to 1. Well, when I do 5/7, which is my next number, I'm going to come over here, 0, 1. The denominator's 7, so I'm going to have 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 5/7. That's the fraction in question. So I'll circle that. 6/7, and I know that 7/7 equals 1. Same thing. If I want to figure out what halfway is, it's 7 divided by 2. 2 can go into 7 3 times. If I take 2 into 7 3 times, 1 is left over. My denominator is 2, 3.5. Bigger than 3, but less than 4. So right there is halfway. Well, so I want to figure out, well, is 5/7 closer to 0 is way down here, so it's not closer to 0. But is it closer to a half or is it closer to 1? Well, I'm 1 step and then just a half step, because if I take a full step, I go from 4/7 to 3/7. So I'm only 1.5 steps away from a half. But to the 1 step, 2 steps. So I'm 2 steps away from the 1. I'm only 1.5 steps away from 1/2. 5/7 is closer to 1/2. If I have a whole chocolate chip cookie and then I eat half of it, I only have a half of a chocolate chip cookie left. And when you write these on your paper, that is what I'm going to need to see. I'm going to need to see a new problem with the new estimated numbers. I will give you the original problem, like 2/3 plus 3/8, or 8/9 plus 5/7, and but you'll need to write the new number. All right, well, we got a couple more. 1/5 plus 2/7. Well, let's think with 1/5, 0, 1. The denominator's 5. So 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. The fraction in question is 1/5. If I'm thinking halfway, I'm thinking 5/2 because I'm dividing it by 2. The denominator's 5. 2 can go into 5 twice. If I take 2 into 5 twice, there's 1 left over because 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 minus 4 is 1. My denominator here is 2, so my denominator there is 2. I end up with 2.5, which means it's bigger than 2 but less than 3. Right there is going to be 1/2. And you're going to notice anytime there's an odd number that's a denominator, it's somewhere there in between. So with 1/5, it's 1 step away from 0, and it's 1.5 step away from a half. So we are closer with the 1 step to 0. So my 1/5 is going to become, I'm just going to make a note of that right now, 0. Now my 2/7, if I come over here to my other board and I do the 2/7, start with 0, end with 1, 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7, and 7/7. 7/7, 7 divided by 7 is 1, so I don't need to put that. The fraction in question is 2/7, so I'm going to circle that one. When I think about halfway, I can see on my previous problem here, I've already done 7/2. So we're just going to do this. It's 7 again. It's 3.5. Bigger than 3. 2 can go into 7 3 times. There's 1 left over. My denominator here is 2. I'm between the 3 and the 4. I'm right here for 1/2. Just like I was up here for the 7. It's the same place every time. It's between the 3 and the 4. Well, I'm 2 steps away from 0 at 2/7, and I'm 1 step and 1/2 a step away from a half. So I'm closer to 1/2, only being 1.5 steps away. So my 2/7 is going to become 1/2, which means that I end up with my 1/5 becoming 0. My 2/7 is closer than a half, and it's an addition problem. So it's plus 1/2. And 0 plus 1/2 is going to be 1/2, because anything added to 0 is going to equal whatever that number was. And that's what I need to see on your paper. All right, last one. This one looks a little bit different. This has some big numbers. And I really don't want you to make a number line that's got 100 parts. So that's why I put this problem on there, because I want to kind of show. First of all, with 100, I want us to think, okay, I'm going to kind of think about where 1/2 is. Because we can easily think about 0 in relation to 100. And we can think about 1 being 100 over 100. But we want to think, well, what over 100 would be 1/2? So I'd have to think, well, what did I do to 2 to get 100? Well, if I'm thinking 10 divided by 2 is 5, there's no 0 here, so this extra 0 needs to become part of my answer. I actually multiplied it by 50. So 2 times 50 is 100, and if I multiplied the 2 by 50, I have to multiply the 1 by 50. And 1 times 50 is 50. So halfway is 50. All right, so if I know that 50 over 100 is halfway, and I know that 100 over 100 is 1, I've got to think, well, what is 79 closer to? Because that's the fraction in question. Is 79 closer to 50, or is it closer to 100? And I can do that with basic subtraction. Well, let's see how far away 79 is from 50 by doing 79 minus 50. 9 minus 0 is 9. 7 minus 5 is 2. I'm 29 away. Well, I want to figure out how far 79 is from 100. So I'm going to come over here, some more scratch work, and I'm going to do 100 minus 79. I can't do 0, can't borrow from a 0, so I'm going to borrow from the 1, make it a 0, make that 0 a 10. I need to borrow from this 10, make it a 9, make that 0 a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1, 9 minus 7 is 2. 79 is 21 away from 100. It's 29 away from 50. So 79 over 100 is closer to 1. Well, let's think about 3 over 14. I could do a number line with 3 over 14. However, I should know that 14 divided by 2 to figure out where halfway is 7, which tells me that 7 over 14 should equal 1/2. And sure enough, 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So sure enough, 7 over 14 is 1/2. So I'm thinking, well, 3 over 4 then, is it closer to 0 or is it closer to 1/2, which is 7 over 14? Well, I know that 7 minus 3 is 4, so 3 over 14 is 4 steps away from 7 over 14. And then to get down to 0, I know that 3 minus 3 is 0. So I know I'm 3 steps away from 0. I'm 4 steps away from 1/2. So 3/14 is closer to 0. Well, I figured out that my 79 over 100 was closer to 1. I figured out that my 3 over 14 was closer to 0. I double check. It's a subtraction problem. So I'm doing 1 minus 0, which equals 1. And that's what's happening today, 5th grade. It's one of those, takes a lot longer to explain and to do notes for than I think it's going to actually take you to do. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.